Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Ben Olson, that's Nathan Fox. Together we're the founders of LSATdemon.com and our weekly podcast, Thinking LSAT. We have an email here from Lexie. She has 3 questions for us.
Hello, what do you think of the following strategy? Read an RC paragraph, cover it up with your hand so you cannot reference it. On a separate piece of paper, try to reproduce and write down what it said.
Absolutely not. No, please.
She goes on, paraphrase in a way that would not change the meaning of the original text significantly. The idea behind this strategy would be to increase your skill at recalling accurately and interpreting what was actually said. Do you think this would enhance your ability to read a text and not impart outside information onto it? Possibly improve your short-term memory? Thanks, Lexie. Ben says, absolutely not.
I hate the idea of trying to reproduce it and write it down.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to do that on the actual test. What I do, okay, so in all these steps, you mentioned paraphrase in a way that would not change the meaning of the original text significantly. I think I do this all the time as I'm reading. I'm reading, pausing. I'm sometimes looking up to the sky, which I've read is a literal sign, not just a metaphorical one of someone thinking. People, when they think, they tend to look up, you know? Not that you need to do that by any means, please. I'm not suggesting that people do that. I just noticed that I do that. I'm reading it, and then I look up, and I'm thinking about what they said. And part of that is understanding what they said. And part of that is paraphrasing, restating what they said in words that I understand, that confirm to me, that sum up essentially what their core points are, right? Because a lot of these things, they're long and wordy, and it's like, okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. You're basically saying that we used to have a drought in this area, and now we don't any longer. And there are some people who have a theory about why that is. Okay, what's that theory? I'm ready for you now, right? But the point here is that I'm paraphrasing what they said, but I'm doing that in my head. I'm doing it as I read. I don't necessarily do it paragraph by paragraph. I do it at any moment that I feel like I need to stop and reassess what's been said and where we're at. And then I continue.
The paragraphs are nothing special on the LSAT.
Not special at all. Some are way too long.
In your writing, paragraphs should mean that there's like a meaningful, there's a break, a new idea, a different topic, like the paragraphs should mean something. On the LSAT, it's like they're kind of thrown in there arbitrarily.
Yeah.
And frequently, as Ben mentioned, they're just way too long. So if you're waiting until the end of the first paragraph to sum it up and understand what was said, you don't need to test your short-term memory. You need to understand the damn passage.
If you understand it and actually get what the person is saying, you will remember it. That is because these ideas aren't out of this world. They're actually pretty straightforward. You're just like, oh, this is what you're saying? Okay, I get it. Continue with your conversation. Imagine having a conversation with your friend that was 15 sentences long. It's not like you'd be like, oh, boy, I got to take some notes here. Can we hold up?
Right. Yeah, you'd be listening. You'd be engaging. And, I also want, I don't like this idea. Notice that she says, enhance your ability to read a text and not impart outside information onto it.
But we do that all the time. That's how you process information.
Who told you that outside information is irrelevant? I mean, when I'm answering a question, I'm going to be answering questions based on what was said in the passage. But as I'm reading the passage, you better fucking believe that I'm going to bring in all kinds of outside information in order to contextualize it and to understand what they're saying. There's no instructions on the LSAT that say turn off all outside information, like disavow all knowledge of the universe outside of the test.
Yeah, become a blank computer. It
doesn't say that.
Has no understanding of the world. Yeah.
That is not what we're doing. So wherever you learned that, you can forget about that. That's not.
Let me give an example of this so that people can understand what we mean by this. So the other day I was reading a reading comp passage in class, and it was talking about how the world was getting cooler. The Northern Hemisphere was getting cooler. over the last 50 or 40 years or whatever. And I kept saying in the class, I'm like, well, that's bizarre to me because I kind of was under the impression that the world has been getting warmer, and I would assume that the northern hemisphere was also getting warmer, but maybe not. It's not like I took that outside information and put it into the passage and pretended that the passage was actually saying that the northern hemisphere was getting warmer. I was just saying, I understand what the passage is saying, and that's surprising to me given what I know about the world. And it helped me understand or put in context what the passage is saying, which is ultimately what they're going to test us on. But it's not like I was ignoring the passage. It just gave me context.
100%. When we're reading reading comprehension passages, we should be analogizing to outside stuff all the time.
Oh, I should say too, at the end of that passage, it actually said, oh, and by the way, it may not actually have been the case that the northern hemisphere got colder. It may have stayed the same or gotten warmer or something like that. And I was like, oh, well, look at that. That kind of goes along with my expectation. But they acknowledged that, and I was aware of that. I was hypersensitive to that acknowledgement because of my contention with the passage all along.
Perfect.
Email daily at lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.